Well, Jenna, you're happy, obviously, with the win because despite Kevin Wildes' strange ruminations about records and what's actually a win, what's actually a loss, the Ravens do have the best record in the AFC. They just do. All right, and as you said it, Jenna, they've been able to find a way to win some ugly games, some tight games, some wild comeback type games. So you like all that. But it's Super Bowl or bust for the Ravens. And the fact of the matter is they have not been good, and Lamar Jackson is number one. He has the right attitude to come out of a slump. I love his demeanor and everything after the game, accepting the blame, telling his teammates, it's on me. But Lamar's been struggling mightily. All right, we all saw yesterday with the 4 interceptions. But really, he hasn't, for the most part, played well in like the last 5 games. He always has his moments. And yesterday had it with the long pass where he scrambled, right? The long pass to Mark Andrews. Andrews, tremendous one-handed catch. And then he scrambled, got away from 3 Browns rushers, and to throw the touchdown to Andrews, which was enough to get them the W. But for the most part, he's been bad. 7 touchdown passes, 9 interceptions, Nick, over the last 5 games for Lamar. He hasn't had a rushing touchdown since week 2. Against Kansas City. And so teams, they're not having figured him out, but they're certainly causing him trouble. And then on the defensive end, you love the way they played yesterday. But remember, they're great against the run and not so much against the pass. They're actually horrible against the pass. And Baker Mayfield couldn't make them pay. But when they've played quarterbacks that could, Derek Carr, Carson Wentz, they've thrown for over 400 yards. And Patrick Mahomes threw for almost 350. You're going to have to beat good quarterbacks to get to the Super Bowl, and that's where the concern is about this Ravens team.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. Quick little personal anecdote. Back when I lived in Texas, my daughter, when she was in 2nd grade, was a cheerleader for kids football. And I once went to a 4-hour youth football game in the Texas sun that ended 7-0 in double overtime. This was a worse football game than that. I finally trumped something that was a worse viewing experience than baking in the sun watching 7-year-olds run into each other. That was the worst Sunday night football game I've ever seen. I can't, even before, like back when Sunday night was like the lower package and it always got the bad games, this was worse than that. That was unwatchable. And I still want to believe in Baltimore because I know how good Lamar can be. But they are a hard team to believe in, Wildes. Twice, they've played 4 games this year that were not in doubt at the end. They're 2-2 in those. Jenna mentioned it. They have played 7 what I would call coin flip games. Going 6-1 in those 7 is not a good sign. That is a sign of a hot roulette wheel, which doesn't exist. It's just randomness. And eventually it's going to come around the other way. And I do think for all the talk of, the league's figured out Mahomes, the league's figured out, there is an element of go attack Lamar repeatedly, go blitz him, and he needs to adjust. It's not about figuring it out. It's about the defense adjusting, then him adjusting back. And right now he hasn't. And that schedule, if you saw it, the rest of the way, there's not an easy game. You have Cleveland again. You have 2 against Pittsburgh. You have Green Bay. I think in Cincinnati. I think that's the rest of their schedule. So they are the 1 seed right now, Wildes. They're not going to stay there. And so yes, the Ravens should feel good that once again they escaped. But this game should feel better, only slightly better than the Lions win they had early in the year, where they needed a 66-yard field goal at the gun after converting a 4th and 19. The Browns were terrible, and the Ravens were only slightly less terrible yesterday. The Ravens, they look shaky as I can remember.
Yeah, they look lucky. They look like a lucky team that lucks into 6-1 in one-score games. And Lamar's interceptions, oddly, the most difficult throws were completed, and the easier throws were intercepted. But both of those difficult throws where Harbaugh's like, that's what he can do. That's amazing. I'm like, I guess. except against a better defense or as people that are paying attention, those get picked off too. Here's the thing. The Ravens do not have a dominant win. They played the Chargers. They have one dominant win against the Chargers. Everything else has been close. Their point differential is plus 23. It's 50 points less than the Bengals. So look, what about the defense? The defense kept them in. All right, that defense, which Broussard mentioned, gives up the same amount of yards as the Jacksonville Jaguars. So spare me that this defense is so good. The Ravens are a lucky team. They're lucky to be 8-3. I don't think anyone in the AFC fears them at all, Jenna. Certainly not Bill Belichick and the Patriots.
All right, so
I'm not going to say it.
Nick, are the Browns making the right call, sticking with Baker? The Baker we've seen the last couple of weeks, the Baker we know is injured, and the Baker we know can play like that.
No. And the question I was going to ask, because I hadn't heard that sound, I had just read it, was who's in charge for Cleveland? And evidently Kevin Stefanski doesn't know either, because he's asking if Tony Grossi wants to have personnel control. Tony Grossi, who he just asked the question back to, would have known Baker Mayfield's too hurt to play. And if you're going to play your hurt quarterback, either don't call the quarterback-designed run sneak on 3rd and a long 1, or don't let him audible into it. They were playing Baker yesterday as if he were healthy. He's not. And this is an abject failure of a season for the Browns, Broussard. They also have a brutal schedule the rest of the way. They're not going to make the playoffs. Baker, whether it's injury or otherwise, is regressing. And think about it like this, Broussard. They had a 2-year head start on Cincinnati for the rebuild. Cincinnati's way ahead of them now. I think Cincinnati's got the better quarterback. Cincinnati seems to be the more complete team. How do you let that happen? So I think they could have won with Case yesterday. I think Baker healthy is obviously better than Case, but he ain't healthy. Case could have, he can't score 17. Scored 17 and beat the Broncos. He just scored 17.
All right, look, Nick, you and Wilds seem to want them to be playing flag football, touch football. Baker should be playing. I'm going to answer the question bluntly. Should they make a quarterback change? No. Are they right to stick with Baker? Yes. All right. There's a difference, and you guys know this, between being injured and being hurt. Injured, you can't play. When you're hurt, you can play. The medical staff has cleared him to play. Guys, Phillip Rivers played through a torn ACL. You remember that game, Wilds, against your beloved Patriots, AFC title game. Tom Brady played all of last season with a torn MCL. Michael Vick's been on our set saying he played with a broken finger. Russell Wilson's back. It's called football. And that means you got to fight through the pain. Vita Vea, yes. How could you step into the locker room with a Vita Vea if he was on your team?
Well, let me ask you this, Broussard. Hold on. Wait. Let me ask you this, Broussard.
Softness.
Wait, it's not softness. It's effectiveness. I feel like you have to believe, I feel like one of these two things. Either option A, Baker is flatly no good, or option B, the injuries are hampering him to a drastic degree. I don't believe Baker's no good. So I don't think he's hurt. I think he is injured, and I think he's trying to prove he's tough, and it's hurting the team. Which is why, Broussard, someone should step in.
Himself.
There are adults in the room that can say Case Keenum is playing until you get healthier.
Here's the thing, Nick. There was a third option you didn't throw out there, and that's where I'm at. He's better than Case Keenum. We're talking about Case Keenum like he's going to be Kurt Warner. Okay, Case Keenum is 28-35 as a starter. Case Keenum has had 5 seasons in which he started 8 or more games and 1 winning season in those 5 years. All right, Case Keenum's not the answer. Season. I get it. Baker is compromised. He's not playing well at all. But he is your best option. And you guys know, Wilds, here's where I'm at. Go after Aaron Rodgers. Okay, it's a pipe dream, so what? Go after Russell Wilson. Go after Deshaun Watson if he's able to play in the offseason. But chances are Baker Mayfield is your quarterback at least of the near future. And why in the world would I cause problems with him by benching him for Case Keenum? I think even he would understand if I'm going after Russell Wilson. But for Case Keenum,
sure.
No. It's not worth it because Keenum's not going to deliver. Stick with Baker and take what you get.
Okay, so first of all, I've never seen anything more impressive on sports television than Broussard just breaking out the Case Keenum career stats on a whim. Like, hey, guys, do you know this about Case Keenum? I was like, whoa, that was very impressive. Secondly, hey, Pepper, can we show the show in the box the Baker slipped, like, whoopsie-doo fumble? Because, Broussard, I want your take on this. To me, that play was so strange. It usually happens in a bad weather game, right? Mud game or rain game. Why did this happen to Baker? It's his left arm that hurts, not his right arm. Don't you think that he's afraid of just taking the sack here and getting smashed and got nervous and lost the ball? And that is as much as, like, we don't believe in Case Keenum, that Case Keenum just like, you know what? I might not be great, but I'm healthy enough to take a sack. That's the thing. It's not all Baker, like, being able to make the long throw. It's also the ability to just sit there and absorb a big hit, which I think he was afraid to do here.
I mean, that play's hard to explain. I have no explanation for that.
Weird.
I really think he just lost the ball. Wilds, I will say this. I haven't seen any evidence of him being afraid to take hits. I mean, you may think that is, but he's playing with just as much gusto and guts as he always has.
It's a weird
so I don't
play.
think he's afraid to take the hit. But
He's
I
not
mean,
afraid.
I guess it's arguable on that play. That's just
of course he's not
an
afraid.
unexplainable play.
Because with respect to Baker, no one's ever called him a genius. I think he's got a little, what's the word for it? Hey, he's a tough guy. Maybe not the brightest guy in the world, tough guy. But he can't play right now. He's hurt. He's dropping the ball. He's a tough football player. That's fine. He's too injured to be effective. Lamar was playing for the Browns yesterday, and they lost.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.